The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is presented by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive and by the Garza Law Firm.
They're going to hit 2 or 3 plays, surely, against UTEP. You can hit 2 or 3 plays downfield.
We have to show everybody that we are going to bounce back from this loss against Georgia. We have to send our seniors out on a high note.
This is the best league in America. Sorry, Big Ten. It is. I don't care what the playoff rankings say at the top.
Yes. That is one that Tennessee fans want to forget. You should pay attention to in terms of what Walden's approach was last year.
Why are they so bad on offense? Well, they're bad in the red zone. They've only scored 12 touchdowns in 25 red zone appearances.
If you look at Nico and the pressure that he was under for most of that game, if you looked that you had some key drop passes from your receivers, I thought he looked better in that loss than he has in some of Tennessee's wins.
And we are now less than 2 weeks away from early signing day for the 2025 class, so still a lot of things to be decided about how Tennessee's 2025 class is going to finish.
Good Saturday morning and welcome into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. I'm John Pennington, joined by VFL Ollie Lane, VFL Kevin Simon. Always happy to have these gentlemen here with me. We are going to be breaking down the UTEP game today, but trust me, there'll be more talk about the Georgia aftermath and offensive issues and that sort of thing. Then there will be a deep dive into UTEP, but it'll be an interesting show, and we will get your predictions at the end of the show and all that stuff. At Rusty Wallace Kia, Callahan Drive, you know I've told you 1,000 times, I've bought 5 vehicles down here. Love this place, can't recommend them highly enough. But all you need to know is this. Kia is one of the hottest selling manufacturers anywhere in the world. And if you're looking at getting a Kia, these people will match the deals offered by any Kia dealer in America. In other words, if you buy a Kia anywhere but here, you're losing money. Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. Get down and see Jake Bull and his team this week. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to start with your reaction to the Georgia game. Kevin, what'd you think? And it may be a little different take than people expect.
It's a little bit of a different take than people expect, but for me, especially in the first half, loved what we did offensively. It was as good of a game from a play calling standpoint as I've seen in Huepel's tenure. And look, what I mean by that is it's easy when you got Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt just to throw the ball. It's easy. Now receivers haven't been catching the ball, drops, issues on the offensive line, young quarterback. What he did, moving the pocket, the QB-friendly throws, short passing game, some of the over routes, felt like it was a great plan going into Georgia, and it culminated in 10 points. You know, getting off to a 10 to a 10-0 lead. You know, early in the game, I thought he did a really good job because it's not necessarily what he wants to call, but it's what we can run. I felt like there was an offensive identity for sure in that game, so kudos to them. Second half, got away from some of the quick passing game, and I think we weren't able to score points. And then on the other side, I know I kicked Mike Bobo on the shin last time we were on here.
He had a good game plan.
Listen, it was as good of a game as I've seen him call. Some of the plays down there in the goal line where you got the offensive lineman standing up in the bunch set, and then they lost and Lucky. I mean, he's just standing in the back. He's standing in the back of the end zone with nobody around him. That's a great offensive call. Bobo had a great night.
Yeah, no, and just to piggyback off of what you're saying, I mean, that first drive, looking at us coming out, I mean, it was incredible. I mean, we had tempo, we were moving with a purpose, and I mean, when was the last time we've scored a touchdown on the first drive of a game in a while this season? Coming from this game, the only thing that concerns me is just, as we continue to progress under this tenure, it's like you can't get Georgia and Alabama at home every single year. You're going to have to go on the road and play some tough environments in the SEC, and after games like this, it's like, when are we going to be able to make that next step up to be able to finish these big games and win these big games on the road? Because like I said, you can't have them all at home. It'd be great if we could, because we'd probably win them all in Neyland, but the fact is we got to travel outside of home every now and then and come back with a W.
Yeah, and not to defend them too much, but you're seeing a lot of teams struggle around the SEC going on the road. I mean, Georgia, we said this last week, I don't think Ole Miss did you any favors by hammering Georgia the week before. At Ole Miss. Yeah. Alabama goes to Vanderbilt and loses. You do have teams in this league that'll whip you at home, but you've seen this as a consistent issue with Josh Huepel, that he's going to have to beat a big boy on the road at some point. And I'll give him credit for his win at LSU back in that 2022, I guess it was. But the problem was, well, not a problem. You played him in the day, which is a different environment than having to play at LSU at night.
Especially a noon kickoff.
Yeah.
them Cajuns, they ain't couldn't look it up.
Fully look it up. That's right. That's right. Hey,
they haven't watered down yet.
There were some people. There was a writer for The Athletic named Seth Emerson. I'm going to show you some of his reaction to this game. This is what he wrote after the Georgia win over Tennessee. He said, yeah, the Volunteers can still make the playoff, but it may be out of their control. Plus, there's now a Georgia complex for the program and a creeping worry that Josh Huepel may have hit his ceiling. And I've heard that on talk radio a little bit. I don't buy it. Mainly because I think we're all rushing to make the judgment. Everybody wants to be the first. I told you he wasn't going to make it. Or I told you he's going to be the guy. I just think it's kind of silly to be doing this early, and I've compiled some other coaches here. I'm just going to give you some comparisons. I'll let you see if you can guess who the coach is. But on your screen right now, you see Josh Huepel. He took over a team that was 3-7 the year before he got here. All right, 3-7. In his first 4 seasons, he lost 6 games, 2 games, 4 games, 2 games. He's 35-14, still with games to play this year. Okay, and you got people saying, well, he's hit his ceiling. You see down below him, the year before this guy took over was 3-8, so similar to Josh Huepel. 6 losses, 2 losses, 3 losses, 1 loss in his first 4 years. His record, 34-12. Any guesses as to who this is? Any guesses, gentlemen? You don't have to. You don't have to. We can reveal.
30. I don't know the top one. I think
Bobby Bowden.
Okay.
Bobby Bowden.
There you go.
Now,
I think I know 2 of them.
It did take him 18 years to win a national championship, but Bobby Bowden had a pretty good Hall of Fame tenure down there.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody would be complaining. But if you're looking at it after 4 years, you would have been saying, well, has he hit his ceiling?
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one here. This guy inherited a team that was 10-3 in his first 4 seasons. 5 losses, 2 losses, 3 losses, 2 losses, similar to Josh Huepel. 44-12, won a national championship in his 6th season.
It's Kirby Smart.
It's Kirby Smart. That's right, Kirby Smart. And you did have Georgia people saying, okay, he didn't step up for Mark Richt. We got this guy, and we're still losing a couple games a year. Yeah, well, if you stick with these guys, you don't know what you're going to get. Let's take a look at another one here. This guy took over a team that was 5-7, 3 losses, 3 losses, 5 losses, 3 losses, 38-14, which is exactly. I mean, Huepel could wind up with that if he wins his last 2 games in a bowl game. If you don't get in the playoff, he'd have the same record.
That's Nick Saban.
No, it's not. No, good guess, but no.
Oh.
It's Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, really?
Jim Harbaugh, who for years they said, well, he can't beat Michigan, and he couldn't beat Ohio State, and he couldn't. But that's kind of like can't win on the road. You can't do it until you do.
Yeah.
And then the last one here. This guy took over a team that was 7-6 in his first 4 full seasons. 5 losses, 7 losses in his second year. 4-2, 38-18. Guess?
I knew one of these is Nick Saban.
No, he's not in here.
Is he not?
No, because he got off pretty quick. He was
the
second year.
I don't remember Nick Saban losing 7 games. That's what.
Dabo Swinney.
Oh, Dabo Swinney.
Dabo Swinney. So there you go. I mean, so if you're looking at it and you're saying, well, 4 years, we should know by now. You don't know. Now, this isn't to say Josh Huepel's going to win a national championship. I have no clue. Just as you have no clue that he's not the guy, he's hit his ceiling. I just think we're jumping on that a little too early. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, to me, the burden for this team usually falls on the offense. Now, past this season, it's fallen on the defense. It's the quarterback and it's the wide receivers. The wide receivers are the lack of production, lack of explosive plays. Think about it. Georgia had 11 explosive plays in the ball game, and explosive plays are defined as runs of 15 yards or more, passes of 20 yards or more. 11 explosive plays for Carson Beck in this offense to Tennessee's 1 explosive play, which was Dylan Sampson's 27-yard run for a touchdown. We only had 1 pass play, even close, 17 yards. Yeah. But the lack of ability to create explosive plays is the reason why this thing's not going. They got to recruit more explosive playmakers on the edge.
All right, very good. I'll tell you what, let's do I told you we'd talk about a little UTEP. Let's do that now. Jimmy Himes with the scouting report for you.
Thanks, John. There are 3 things to know about UTEP. First off, the Miners coach is Scott Walden. He was a head coach at Austin Peay for the last 3 years, and he actually led the Governors to a conference championship a year ago. And he took his team into Neyland Stadium last year. Tennessee won 30-13, but it was a 10-point game in the fourth quarter. Also, Walden was an assistant coach at Southern Miss in 2017 when the Eagles came to Neyland Stadium. Here's another thing about UTEP. All of their leading skill position players are transfers from Austin Peay. That includes their quarterback, Skylar Locklear, who's completed 67% of the passes. It includes their running back, Jevin Jackson, who's rushed for 650 yards. It also includes their top 3 wide receivers, Kenny Odom, Cam Thomas, and Trey Goodman, each of whom have at least 35 catches. Goodman actually had a touchdown catch against Tennessee last year. And finally, the Miners only averaged 19.2 points per game. That ranks 121st out of 134 teams. They've also had 6 games in which they scored less than 20 points. Why are they so bad on offense? Well, they're bad in the red zone. They've only scored 12 touchdowns in 25 red zone appearances, and they rank 132nd out of 134 teams in overall red zone scoring. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. We have a packed show for you today as we get you ready for UTEP. Come on back on the other side of this break, and we'll keep the thing rolling. Some of this.
I'm Paige Dower, and we'll give you 3 reasons why Vol fans shouldn't freak out over the loss to Georgia.
I'm Ryan Callahan, and I'll tell you about 3 recruits who could determine how Tennessee finishes its 2025 class.
And I'm Josh Warden.
I'm Chuck Cavaleras.
And we'll give today's game what it needs, some prop bets.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You can score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you can drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You could ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
For 4 generations, A.G. Hines Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Hines Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. Manufactured stone is lighter, more cost-effective than traditional stone, featuring greater consistency of material and quicker installation times. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Hines Company.
I was coming home and a lady hit me head on. It totaled my car, it fractured my right heel, and it bruised me up really badly. The Garza Law Firm, they were very compassionate, but yet they were very detailed. They didn't let me down. They never stopped fighting. It helped me regain confidence in law firms. I would definitely recommend the Garza Law Firm.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like G3 John boats, Gator Tough. These rugged boats are durable and dependable, season after season. Center or side console, storage boxes. Custom design your boat for your needs. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
Every Sunday morning, the Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
The SEC has a full slate here on Channel 6. The day kicks off with Ole Miss at Florida. The Gators have been playing better and are looking to knock the Rebels out of the playoff. At 3:30, Kentucky travels to Texas. The Wildcats are still searching for their second win in SEC play. Finally, the night concludes with Alabama at Oklahoma. The Sooners are trying to become bowl eligible, while the Crimson Tide are hoping to stay in playoff contention. Finally, Tennessee is playing an early afternoon game for the first time since the season opener. Tennessee takes on UTEP at 1 p.m. We'll have full coverage of this contest on our SEC wrap-up show after the Alabama and Oklahoma game. John.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our program is brought to you by a great new tequila drink. It's organic tequila mixed with seltzer in a ready-to-drink can. It's called Freshie. You can find it at your local package store, getting great reviews online, all 3 flavors. In fact, we carry it, so to speak, at the Bandit Lights Bar. That's where we're going now. Paige Dower, Bob Hodge, Vince for a segment we call The 3 Reasons.
Thanks, John. Our assignment today is quite easy. 3 reasons why to not freak out after that loss in Athens to the Georgia Bulldogs. Guys, I think we have to start with the college football playoffs. Of course, it's now 12 teams. Tennessee's 11 after the recent rankings. They still have a good chance to have themselves in a key position should things go their way the last 2 weeks of the season in college football as a whole. But I think just having that chance still kind of in grasp should give them some confidence these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, because when the rankings came out on Tuesday, looked at Tennessee and you're the first team out.
Yeah.
Which you're out. Okay, you were out if the playoffs started that week. The good news is the playoffs didn't start that week, and you still got 2 weeks. You still have conference championship games. A lot of things can happen.
Yeah.
So Tennessee, did they control their own destiny? No. But with a lot of football left to play, Vince, I think you're in a pretty good position. You're not great. You're not where you would like to be, but pretty good.
Yeah, even though I guess the script says overreaction and panic
Yes.
after the loss to Georgia, and maybe it's more fun for some, but this is a reason for them, for all of us not to overreact. Look at the percentages in the All-State playoff predictor. Right now, Tennessee's at 67%. That keeps going up. If they win out, it jumps to 86%. Now, that could change a little bit here and there depending on other results. That's a lot more than 50-50. That's pretty good. Now, I think the committee made it clear that style points are going to matter because the way they view football and value how the games go, that's a factor. So Tennessee is going to have to, play cleaner and better. But I think those numbers are encouraging. Plus, teams play each other some. There's always teams that melt down in the moment. I think that's a reason not to panic, is the positioning where Tennessee is at right now.
And I think it could also bleed into maybe our second point, too. When you look how tough it is to go on the road, play in the SEC, and a lot of these SEC teams are going on the road these last couple of weeks, and we know it can get a little crazy and hairy when you're a team on the road.
Well, a lot of people reacted to losing to Georgia at Georgia because Georgia lost in a bad way at Ole Miss. And I think if Georgia had won that game and then Tennessee goes there and plays basically the same game and you lose, I think the reaction among Tennessee fans is a little bit more subdued. But you watch that Ole Miss game the week before and you go, man, we're going to get this. We've got this. I mean, I kind of played into that a little bit.
Yeah.
That Tennessee's defense was going to go in there and roll Georgia. And it is. It's just playing on the road in the SEC is tough. So there's no shame when you go to a top 10 team and you lose the third place.
This is the best league in America. Sorry, Big Ten. It is. I don't care what the playoff rankings say at the top.
Yes.
And even these teams have a difficult time winning on the road. There's only 5 teams out of the 16 teams that have a winning record on the road in SEC play. And there's plenty more instances where teams won, like Georgia, Kentucky, they didn't play that well. It was a lot tougher. So it is hard to win on the road. Coaches are talking about it all the time. It's the reality of it, especially with the parity in the league. So yes, you lost to Georgia. There was an opportunity there, but it is tough to win on the road. You don't have anything like Georgia remaining the rest of the way.
Well, wouldn't you have liked to have seen, Paige, that game played in Neyland Stadium last week?
Yes.
And then Georgia's fans maybe down there be the ones freaking out.
I know. I even think in a neutral site game, it'll be a lot closer potentially. And I think when you kind of look at how maybe a team travels, how they do at home, you got to be kind of comfortable heading into Saturday knowing that Tennessee's at home and Nico Iamaleava is starting to look really good. Dylan Sampson looks really good.
Yeah, and one other quick thing is Tennessee, yes, is on the road. We're talking about how difficult the road is. They're on the road at Vanderbilt. Guess who's going to have more fans there? So that is a little
hopefully
bit of
the Vols, even though Vanderbilt has had a better season. Hopefully it is the Vols.
No doubt, and they're going to be motivated too. But I think it was encouraging what we saw, speaking of on the road, Nico, and how poised he looked, how he looked like he belonged in that moment. I don't pin that loss on him. Weren't able to create explosive plays or get open enough, the protection, all those kind of things. But Bob, I thought he played well, and then obviously Dylan Sampson always does his thing.
If you look at Nico and the pressure that he was under for most of that game, if you looked at you had some key drop passes from your receivers, I thought he looked better in that loss than he has in some of Tennessee's wins. And you're right, he didn't get a whole heck of a lot of help. But then you also come back to look, you're in the tough environment, you are on the road, and yet Dylan Sampson is still Dylan Sampson. Right. He's still getting his yard, he's still getting his score. I think he's underrated. So to me, going forward with Tennessee, I'll look at those things as positives, even though you lost at Georgia.
Yeah, you talk about him getting his yards. He's had his, 9th game that has 100 yards at least. He's only had one game this season where he's not rushed for 100 yards, and it was 92 against Oklahoma. He now has 21 touchdowns. So he is in the top of the FBS in so many categories. And what we saw against Georgia was he created a lot out of nothing a number of times.
And even though Nico wasn't getting a lot of help, and even though his line wasn't blocking, that made me go, okay, why aren't we seeing a little bit more Dylan Sampson in this situation, in this place?
Yeah, and maybe we saw more of the short passing game. Maybe the coaches are still trying to figure out and able to figure out some ways to kind of create some help for him, get him in a rhythm in the passing game. And then at some point, you got to hit those deep shots. But I think it's encouraging what we're seeing from him in as part of the equation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we come back, we'll hear from Kevin, Ollie, and John as they talk about why the Vols do so well in those opening offensive drives and then tail off.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home and commercial security.
Camera surveillance systems specifically designed for your property. Professional monitoring, complete with emergency and after-hours response and repair. Burglar alarms for all access points. Upgrade your home or business with a single phone call to Safety Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home and commercial security systems for more than 20 years.
Games and things, 'cause life should be fun.
Isn't it time to get the family back around the table again? Put down those phones and stop by Games and Things today. We have the tables you need to get everyone playing together again. Pool tables from the best brands in the industry. Air hockey and foosball tables. Table tennis and poker tables. Shuffleboard and puck tables. Plus, Games and Things offers the largest selection of theater seating and bar stools in the area. So put down that device and get back around the table and start making some lasting family memories today at Games and Things, 'cause life should be fun.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
So many people get their insurance through an app these days, but are you getting the best deal, the coverage you need? And when you really need that coverage, who's fighting for you? All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
3 recruits to watch going into Tennessee's home finale, and we are now less than 2 weeks away from early signing day for the 2025 class. So still a lot of things to be decided about how Tennessee's 2025 class is going to finish. A few different ways things could go at a few different positions, and we'll start at running back, where this weekend Tennessee is hosting DeJuan Morris on an official visit. He's a USC commitment from Oakland High School in Murfreesboro, longtime in-state target, was back in town earlier this month for Tennessee's game against Kentucky. now taking his official visit. And the Vols have some traction there. There's a reason to think they could flip him. The Trojans still putting up a fight there, so not a foregone conclusion he ends up at Tennessee, but a huge opportunity this weekend for Tennessee to potentially make a move. One player may be starting to trend away from Tennessee at this moment, 4-star defensive lineman Isaiah Campbell of Durham, North Carolina. Tennessee had some momentum with him recently, hosted him on an official visit last month. Last weekend, he went to North Carolina for an official visit, just down the road from home, a school he's seen a bunch, and the Tar Heels seem to have the momentum at this point. We'll see what he decides to do about a final announcement, but North Carolina looks like the team to beat at this point. Tennessee certainly not conceding anything, though. And the Vols also trying to hold on to some of their current commitments, including Darion Smith, defensive lineman from Baltimore. He's taking an official visit to Auburn this weekend. Auburn has never hosted him on a visit, but the Tigers believe they have some traction there. 3 of his teammates from St. Francis Academy are committed to Auburn going into this weekend, so there's a few reasons for Auburn to think they have a real shot. John, back to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff here at Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive. John Pennington joined by Ollie Lane and Kevin Simon. This segment is called Checking the List. And I want to talk about the list of offensive worries at this point, because we are, it's game 11 today. We're past the point of when they're going to turn some sort of corner. There's no corner that's going to be turned, I don't think. It's just an inconsistent offense. Earlier in the year, you had a quarterback who was green and was getting hit a lot. As he grew up, and I thought he played a really good game at Georgia. I did not think he looked like the weak link out there. But as he's gotten better, your receivers, some of them gotten a little more banged up. They haven't taken a step forward. Your offensive line, slight improvements, but nothing earth-shattering. So there's always something with this offense. Let me show you some numbers in terms of scripting plays. And I just looked at the first drives of games here. So, Ollie, you can tell me if it's just first drives or second drives, but just look at their first drives through 10 games. 470 yards on those first 10 drives, 4 touchdowns, 1 missed field goal, 2 fumbles deep in the other team's territory. They've only punted 3 of those first drives all year. So first drives, pretty good. They're averaging 47 yards, and again, 2 fumbles cut that short. 47 yards, and 40% of those drives end in touchdowns. All their other drives, they're averaging 33 yards a drive, 32% touchdown. So it's not like you're falling off a mountain, but 47 yards in your first drive and you average 33 on the others. I think that's noticeable. That's worth mentioning. Ollie, talk to me about how they script plays, how many plays they usually go in with, and how that works.
Yeah, so generally when you go into a game with these guys, they're going to script about your first 2 drives. Sometimes, depending on the game, they'll go into the third drive a little bit. But, you have your first 2 drives that you really stick to what the script is, and then you got your pool plays of like, all right, this is the first play we're calling now. If it's second and this, we've got this to go to. If it's second and this, we got this to go to. Same with third down. If it's third down and this, we've got this to go to, short yardage situations and stuff. So, they have generally that first drive, second drive is set up. They know what's going to happen. And then after that, as you continue to progress through the game, no, it's not scripted, but you still continue to pull from those scripted pool of plays for each scenario.
Kevin, your thought? Here's the problem. You see it drop off a little bit. And we saw it drop off. They got off to a hot start last week. And then after that 10-0 lead, by the end of the first quarter, that game had flipped. And you were starting to go the other way. Talk to me about how it goes from the scripted plays that are working a little bit better to then, okay, we've kind of rolled the dice now. We're out of our ammo. What are we going to do?
Well, I think sometimes just during the Josh Huepel tenure, I'd like to see some of the carry over 2-3 of those scripted plays early. Just carry these things over to the second half. Now, again, I thought the script was great. It was masterful against Georgia early on. Really got Nico in the rhythm. Got a short passing game. Even the balls from the pocket, like Kitzelman hitting them over the middle, they came out of his hand quick because, we have some issues with pass protection. Got Nico on the move, loved every bit of that. But I think just as it goes, if I'm being critical, just, hey, let's get a couple more of those plays that we're calling in the second half. And I know some people will script a 15-play script for the first, to start the game, 15-play script, to start the second game. I know Bill Walsh is really one of the first authors to do that, and that thing spread like wildfire all across football now.
Well, and a lot of times what they're doing is they will script it and throw out a lot of different personnel packages to see how you react to it.
How are they going to line up against us?
Yes. Is that what Huepel's up to here in his? Because the offense is what the offense is quite a bit for this one. Yeah. It's not the most It's not a varied offense. Let's put it that way. I thought Georgia showed you more variations the other day than Tennessee did. So is Tennessee's script more about, all right, we think these plays will work, let's get downfield and score? Or is it how much of it is, well, let's see how they react to this and then we'll come back to it? Because the fact that they're not necessarily coming back to it and the fact that they are kind of limited in what they show you, what they do. I mean, we've heard it said for years, this is a simple offense. It's not a very difficult offense to defend at times. What is the purpose of their script is what I'm getting to. It was a long way to say, what's the purpose of their script in your opinion?
To me, it's more the former than the latter. I mean, they're running their plays. Here's what we think is going to be good against their personnel, their scheme schematically. And then it's a matter of, are our guys better and are they executing better than their guys? That's really what it comes down to. Because there's not a bunch of different personnels, not any motion to see, all right, is it man or zone? We're not declaring those things, so that's not necessarily what they're looking for. They spend all their time in the offseason running our plays. We're running our playbook. It's about us, and I think that's the mantra that Coach Huepel takes.
It's much more of an attack plan than it is a fact-finding mission.
Yes. Yeah.
And for some programs that do that, it's more of a fact-finding mission. Now, you don't want to score, but that would explain why, this worked, but it doesn't necessarily get carried over to sometimes later. If it's a fact-finding mission, then you might say, make a note of that and come back to it in the third quarter when we're facing this. Yeah. You'd like to see more of that. Very quickly here, we've only got about a minute here, but I wanted to talk about the offensive numbers. Let me put these up on the screen for you. I thought this was interesting. I was one guy who thought that the offense would be better this year, but comparing it to last year's offense, and this is against conference foes, the points per game are about the same. Total offense down a little bit, rush offense up a little bit, pass offense down 50 yards per game, third down percentage, conversion rate down a little bit, 30-yard pass plays down quite a bit. So much of this draws back to the deep shots. It's just not there this year. And we've already mentioned the receivers again, but when you look at these numbers, if you've got those big plays in the pass game coming at you, I think it changes everything else on here. And when you don't have that for 2 years in a row, it makes you wonder about what this offense really is.
Yeah, and I think early on the season, Nico missed some of those throws that were available. And now later in the year, where we all see in the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been a lot more accurate. Now it's the receivers. And listen, there's been a step up in the competition. The DBs they're going against are better, stickier in coverage, plastering to their man, and they just hadn't created separation to where those things are open. So we're not even running those plays as much as what we once were, because they just I think Huepel knows that the short passing game, that's really the way to get this offense going. We'll see better execution against Vanderbilt, who's not as good defensively as what Georgia is.
And we're not even talking about UTEP today. Any thoughts to close this out?
Yeah, I mean, I think just looking at it, you could put a lot of people last year put a lot of the issues on Joe Milton's shoulders, but I think you see it stretch out now into 2 years that it's not.
I'll raise my hand. I was one of the ones.
That it wasn't just Joe. There's a lot of moving parts of the offense that create the explosion that we had in 22, and it's just when those missing parts aren't there, you continue to see these issues continue to stretch out.
Yeah, and we did talk last year, and to be fair to me, we did talk on our show about the fact that the receivers weren't giving Milton a lot of help last year either, and we're seeing the same thing this year. This receiving core. For a receiving core that Josh Huepel said in the offseason was his deepest and best, I don't agree with that.
Well, I remember when he said that, I was like, I don't think he should have said that. But
no.
But the one thing, all right, so 49 games that he scored, 49 games in his tenure, there's been 9 games that he hasn't scored 20 or more boards. 4 of those games against Georgia. Georgia's been a Rubik's Cube that we've yet to solve.
That's true, and that's a hump that he's going to have to get over at some point. All right, very good. When we come back, we've got the wise guys coming up with some prop bets to try and make the UTEP game more interesting. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats, like Hurricane deck boats. Perfecting fun on the water for more than 45 years with innovative and incredibly versatile designs. Experience freedom, laughter, and adventure on the water with Hurricane. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
I see Marco's role in the community as somebody that people can look up to.
Marcos Garza is very thoughtful. He pays attention to the needs of the people in the community.
He's somebody that's very unselfish, somebody that's going to always be there.
Marcos Garza will work as hard as he can to get the best results for you.
In the future, no matter where I'm playing, no matter what the team I'm playing for, I'll always be on Garza's team.
The Garza Law Firm is Mama ZZ approved.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You can score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you can drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You could ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This segment of our Saturday Kickoff show is brought to you by Games and Things. Christmas season is right around the corner, folks. If you're looking for a big gift that will just make somebody's entire Christmas, or if you're looking for a stocking stuffer, let's say you got a dart player, just buy the darts. Let's say you got a pool player, just get the pool cue. They've got big, they've got small. Games and Things. In fact, let's go see some of the stuff they've got at the Games and Things Arena. Josh Ward and Chuck Cavaleris join you now for the Wise Guys.
Thanks, John, and it's time for our By the Numbers look at Tennessee versus UTEP. Chuck, today I'll get us started here with the first number to pay attention to. Tennessee has passed for more than 250 yards just 3 times all year. Over under 269.5 yards versus UTEP today. Over under 269.5 yards through the air.
Well, I'll take the over. You feel good about Tennessee's going to run the ball some, right? But I feel good, and we've talked even on Sunday, they're going to hit 2 or 3 plays, surely, against UTEP. You can hit 2 or 3 plays downfield. So, yeah, that should go over.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. So we went into the Mississippi State game having the conversation of, okay, finally, this week, they'll break through, right? They'll hit some big plays, and they didn't hit a ton. Nico only played in the first half in that game, but they did have the early touchdown pass down the field to Squirrel White, the down the field pass to Dante Thornton. Mississippi State allowed that opportunity. UTEP's going to give that opportunity. I think Tennessee will also do everything it can with the backups in the second half, which we should see, I think, in this game, to where there will be a ton of opportunities to either have catch and run or just straight down the field tosses that Tennessee completes for big plays.
Yeah, or maybe UTEP will just give up by then.
So we'll both take the over. UTEP should allow it.
On the over. Yes, sir. Well, what we got here? The Vols scored 13 first-half points versus Scotty Walden's Austin Peay team last year. Over under 25.5 first-half points versus his UTEP team today.
Well, it's good to bring the comparison because that is one that Tennessee fans want to forget. You should pay attention to in terms of what Walden's approach was last year in that game. It was a brutal watch. But I also think about when Tennessee can just line up and be that much better than the opponent. I do have a little bit of concern about the sleepwalking aspect coming off a disappointing loss with everything that's surrounding this game. It's senior day, so they could be a little bit slower out of the gates. But they're also just so much better man-to-man, and UTEP is such a bad football team that if Tennessee locks in for part of the time, they should be able to cruise past that number.
Yeah, you would think so. And I talked some of the VFL Sunday, and it's either do you come out angry, are you mad, and it's senior day, and you're going to make a point here, or are you still a little bit, upset about how you didn't finish it at Georgia with so much to play for? I think they come out and put some points on the board. I might even look for Tennessee to score 35 in the first half.
Yeah, the offensive guys you would like to think are upset that they've had a tough time all season. And then the defensive guys who weren't able to get to the quarterback last week should be eager to get there, to get the ball back to the offense.
Right.
And perhaps score some points themselves. They've done that this season. Chuck, UTEP leads Conference USA in punt return average with 13.5 per return. Over under 10.5 yards per return versus Tennessee today. Can UTEP create anything on special teams?
Well, are we going to have any directional kicks? Are we just going to outkick the coverage is one thing I wonder. That's a pretty good number when you think about that on punt return. I would take the under simply because I think Tennessee's coverage is going to be really good. I mean, they've been pretty solid, it seems like, on punt coverage to me. So, yeah, I would take the under on that, but it'll be interesting to see how close to that they do come.
Perhaps we're too sunshiny on the Vols so far. I'm going to go under as well on UTEP's return average. Now, if we're going to talk about sleepwalking through, Jackson Ross was terrific last week. He doesn't have to feel bad about his performance against Georgia.
Right.
Does he come out and he's not as concerned about hitting him exactly right in this game? My guess is that he'll have a good game, that coverage will be there, and UTEP will not be able to get anything going. But you can take one return there, too, to kind of change that number.
Exactly.
I'll go under, but it's an interesting one to watch because UTEP is going to be thinking, can we do something on special teams to create some kind of opportunity to get some points on the board?
Because that's what they're going to need to do,
Sure.
right? Some kind of score other than with the offense on the field.
Yep. What do you have next?
All righty. Dylan Sampson's season lows for carries were 12 versus Chattanooga and 13 versus Kent State. Over under 12.5 carries versus UTEP today.
Well, it's the right number based on those games earlier this season. I laughed. I think it was Will Overstreet on Sunday during the Sports Source said he better get a rest. I think he'll get his carries in the first half,
Right.
and then they'll get him off the field. But I don't know. They also have a chance to get him some records, to get him some more attention. He's now a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award. Don't think he's going to win it, but trying to get him attention. I'll go slightly over. I hope for his sake and for Tennessee's offense heading into whatever's remaining in the season that it's under. I'll say slightly over, 14, 15 carries.
Right. And I will too, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think they're going to try and get multiple touchdowns for Dylan Sampson again. And I think at least a good stat game before you take him out of the game, maybe that gets him back in somewhat of the Heisman Trophy race, right? I mean, he's not really in there from what I've
SEC
seen.
Offensive Player of the Year is on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things there. But when you think about all the carries he's had for the whole season, at some point you do have to back off that.
At some point, that might be when the season ends. We'll find out. About 30 seconds, Chuck, for our final one here. The Vols defeated Chattanooga by 66 points, Kent State by 71 points. Tennessee minus 45.5 points versus UTEP today.
Well, you know, I set the line at 40, not knowing that Vegas was going to come out with 41 or 42. We keep waiting for that offensive explosion or something. Maybe Boo Carter scores a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'll take over on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tennessee minus 45.5 as well. Kent State, no chance. Chattanooga, no chance.
Right.
Let's see if they sleepwalk. We've been so high on Tennessee, though, in this segment. All that, I think, adds up to Tennessee covering. They have to come out of the gates, though, to get that going. I think they will in the first half. So a proper jinx, if you can have that, in a Tennessee versus UTEP game with how sunshiny we were on the Vols here. When we come back, John, Kevin, and Ollie will take a closer look at how Scotty Walden gave Tennessee some trouble last year. That's next.
Games and things, 'cause life should be fun.
Isn't it time to get the family back around the table again? Put down those phones and stop by Games and Things today. We have the tables you need to get everyone playing together again. Pool tables from the best brands in the industry. Air hockey and foosball tables. Table tennis and poker tables. Shuffleboard and puck tables. Plus, Games and Things offers the largest selection of theater seating and bar stools in the area. So put down that device and get back around the table and start making some lasting family memories today at Games and Things, because life should be fun.
Safety Systems, East Tennessee's top provider of home automation, security, and life safety systems.
Home automation.
Our expert technicians can turn your home into a smart home, allowing you to control and monitor everything from lighting and climate to entertainment systems, security systems, and even appliances, all from your phone or tablet. Upgrade your home with a single phone call to Safe T Systems, East Tennessee's leader in home automation for more than 20 years.
Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he became an agent to make sure someone is fighting for you. Shop insurance now. See how Chris can give you peace of mind and save you some money. All insurance is not equal. Trust Chris Smith Insurance.
From works of art to family photos, enhance the beauty and protect your memories with custom frames, museum-quality glass, and guaranteed craftsmanship. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville. You hear lots of offers with insane prices, unbelievable trade-in promotions, and crazy gimmicks. But aren't you tired of all that noise? Look, at Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, our message is simple. We'll beat any dealership's price on any new Kia, no matter who they are, no matter where they are, period. If you don't buy your new Kia on Callahan Drive, you'll pay too much. Rusty Wallace Key of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
All right, time for Captain's Corner this week. What do you do when you're on the outside of the playoff picture, you're not in the SEC race, and you're not playing a big-time opponent? Well, this is tough as a leader. This is tough as a captain. When you're winning and you're playing the big games, it's easy. It's easy to get the team excited. These are the situations where your leaders need to fabricate the situation. Your captains need to fabricate the situation. And by that, I mean you need to bring everybody together. You need to create situations that are worse than they appear so that you can get everybody excited and playing and moving in the right direction. And by that, I mean you need to say, we got to beat UTEP by 70 points to have impressive margin for the committee. We have to show everybody that we are going to bounce back from this loss against Georgia. We have to send our seniors out on a high note. The great captains, when they're faced with these challenges and the teams come out and play well, that's when you know you got some good leaders in the locker room. It'll be a big challenge this week to get excited for a not very exciting opponent, but we'll see what these captains can do. John, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Key on Callahan Drive for the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Ollie, Kevin, John. This segment brought to you by Marcos Garza and the Garza Law Firm. Folks, if you find yourself in need of an attorney, go local. And if you're going to get a local attorney, get the best local attorney. Do your research. You'll find that there are more testimonial evidence about the quality of Marcos Garza than any other attorney in town. Good people who can really take care of you when you are in any kind of a legal bind. All right, this segment is called What's the Game Plan? We're not going to spend a two ton of much time on talking about UTEP, but I do want to ask you, Scotty Walden, last year comes into Neyland Stadium with Austin Peay and gives Tennessee a game. I mean, now they weren't going to win the thing, but it was frustrating to watch for Vol fans and the media covering it. You were out there. Yeah. You guys can tell me. You go to UTEP. He takes 13 of his guys with him from Austin Peay. You would think he would have more talent at UTEP. Maybe they're one of the worst teams in FBS, but more talent than they would at Austin Peay. Is there anything that he can take from last year's game to this year's game and frustrate Tennessee with it? Yeah, and I mean, to just begin, it was frustrating as a player as well. Going through that game last year, that was not fun. Offense struggled that game, yeah. But I mean, I think that's something that he's going to be able to carry over from that is just that defensive structure. It's the defensive structure that troubles us with everybody. It's the 3-3 stack, drop 8, all that good stuff. And so they ran it last year against us when he was at Austin Peay and did pretty good. We couldn't score that many points. He was in a game that Austin Peay should not be in a game with Tennessee. So he's got the ability to do that again with UTEP. It's just what hurts them of being able to actually cap off a game using that scheme is just the talent's not there to match up talent-wise with us. However, he's going to be able to bring this, and it's going to frustrate and confuse us a little bit to where if we don't overcome, you can be able to see if we don't overcome the defensive struggles that we've had against that defensive front, that it's going to be another frustrating Saturday. Yeah. Thoughts on Scotty Walden and what UTEP could do to replicate anything that Austin Peay brought to the table last year?
You know, I thought they did a really good job. We were trying to get the pass game going last year. Didn't click against Virginia, but we didn't need it to click. Defense dominated, running back scored at will. They were throwing the football around, or we were trying to throw the football around the first half. Couldn't against Austin Peay. They did a great job. It's like B-9 Battleship. They hit a bunch, especially on second down, bringing zero and blitzing us. Yeah. But I think it would be a different story this year. I certainly hope they don't give us trouble like Austin Peay did a year ago. But like you said, Austin Peay shouldn't have a year ago. UTEP shouldn't this year. Hopefully they don't.
How hard is it to get over a loss where everything's riding on it? They know that now you're the first team out of the playoff. There's still, you could make the case that no, we're still playing for the playoff. But that's a kick in the teeth. That had to be a disappointment. Georgia got off the floor after they got their teeth kicked in, but that was a Saturday night game. Tennessee coming in. You're playing 1 o'clock against UTEP.
Yeah.
How is this Tennessee team going to be motivated for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the clear mindset of just going out and finishing this season strong. What story does this Tennessee football team and their players want written about them after the end of the season? And that's something that's always gets talked about near the end of the season for a lot of athletes. But, I mean, I think it's true for this team. I mean, they got a chance to still win 10 games, which doesn't happen a lot at Tennessee,
right.
and especially in a regular season format. So I think that's something that they can still hang their hat on as a successful season. If they make the playoffs or not, it's a disappointment for sure with how much of the high hopes we had for it. But 10-win season is not nothing to shake your head around.
We'll see how much you guys think they're going to be sleepwalking early when we get back with our prediction segment. That is next. We'll give you predictions from a dozen people on Tennessee UTEP. Coming right back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
For 4 generations, A.G. Heinz Company has been a pillar of the Knoxville community. And since Albert Heinz Sr. opened our doors back in 1920, we've been supplying do-it-yourselfers with revolutionary products and tools. With Nudura insulated concrete forms, your project will be both rock solid and more energy efficient than steel or wood structures. Cutting-edge materials and tools at affordable prices. That's what we've provided for more than a century at A.G. Heinz Company.
A day on the lake is more than just time on the water. It's a memory, a story that can last a lifetime. And no one makes memories like Madisonville Marine. Terrific prices, first-class customer service, and the area's biggest selection of boats like Skeeter Bass Boats. For more than 75 years, generations of anglers have trusted Skeeter, the best engineered boats on the water. Ensure a smooth, dry, safe trip to your favorite fishing hole. Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat.
Hey folks, it's Jake from Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville. The Vols are off to a hot start, so we're rolling out the hottest deals of the year. You can score a 2025 Kia Sportage for $249 a month, or you can drive home a 2024 Kia Sorento for $267 a month. Are you looking to go bigger? You could ride high in style in a 2024 Kia Telluride for $379 a month. And as always, every new Kia comes with Rusty's exclusive 200,000-mile warranty. So draw up the winning play and make your way to Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville, I-75 at Callahan Drive.
From family heirlooms to sports memorabilia, protect and showcase your treasures with custom frames and shadow boxes, each with a lifetime guarantee. Express Frame in the Common Shopping Center on North Peters Road.
Every Sunday morning, the Sports Source brings you 90 minutes of honest, intelligent Vols coverage. More analysts, more topics, more fun. The Sports Source, Sundays at 11 on WATE TV6 and WATE.com.
Welcome back to Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. This segment of our show, our prediction segment, always brought to you by Chris Smith Insurance. Now, Chris is my insurance guy, and he's got 2 ways he can help you. One, he's a farmer's agent, so great farmer's plans for you. That's what I use. But he's also an independent agent, so he can help you. If you don't fit with a farmer's plan, he's got other plans that'll fit you and your family just right. Chris Smith Insurance. Now it's time for our picks. Let's get to them in a segment we call Who, How, and Why.
I'm going to go with Tennessee 55, UTEP 10. This is obviously not going to be much of a game as long as Tennessee does what it's supposed to do. But a good game for Tennessee to get its offense on track a little bit, build some confidence. They should be able to score plenty of points against one of the worst teams in FBS football. Good home win for Tennessee to wrap up the home schedule and move on to Vanderbilt.
I think this one's pretty easy. I would imagine all of us are going to take Tennessee in this matchup against UTEP, but I think the final score will be something like 56-0. I think there will be a handful of touchdowns. I know we'll see Gaston Moore early in this game, as well as we should see him early in this game. I just think this will be kind of a get-back game, a revenge game for their own psyche, not necessarily because it's UTEP, but just coming off of that Georgia loss, I think they'll be really motivated to kind of right the wrongs that we saw a week ago.
Well, there should be opportunities in the pass game for them to have explosives. I do think it's going to be maybe a little bit more modest in the final score. I have Tennessee 42-7. I think it maybe won't look as prolific as Tennessee fans would like, but it'll still be overall convincing from the jump.
I think it is going to be prolific. The cupcake buffet at Neyland Stadium finally comes to an end, and this is a red velvet cupcake. I hate red velvet. I think Tennessee will be pretty prolific. I'll go 56-10.
Tennessee's offense needs to get the wheels in motion. They have not played a complete game in a while. This is the game to do it. I have the Vols winning 45-7, but the offense still struggles outside of Dylan Sampson.
All right, score prediction for UTEP. I think Tennessee comes out a little bit sluggish. As understood, it's not an exciting opponent. I think over time they build the momentum and they score and they run away with this thing. I think it's going to be Tennessee 53, UTEP 14.
All right, Chuck, prediction time. I'm going to make the bold prediction Tennessee wins this football game. I think the real question is by how many points. I'm going to say Tennessee wins big, 55-6. Early in the season, Tennessee had that streak going of not allowing touchdowns by the other opponent. Right. It's obviously been broken since then. I think they try to start one back up. I think Tennessee pitches a touchdown shutout. The offense gets things rolling against a team that just can't keep up.
Okay, and I think we're in the same ballpark. I'm going to go 52-3. And who's healthy behind Dylan Sampson is one of the things I want to see. Who else can you hand the ball off?
I've got Tennessee 48-3. Look for Nico Iamaleava to have a field day in the passing game. Look for Dylan Sampson to continue his record run on the record book. And also, watch for the defense, which struggled against Georgia, to return to form.
Okay, you heard everybody else's predictions right there, gentlemen. I think Tennessee's going to be sleepwalking a little bit to the beginning of this one. I think if they're smart, they're going to get their starters out as quickly as possible. So I'm not going to be expecting another 71-0 like they dropped on Kent State, even though UTEP is pretty much in that realm.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with like 48-13. So I think that they're going to get some late points. And I think that Tennessee's just going to stumble early, but they'll wind up putting them in the bag. Kevin, what are you going with?
Yeah, 52-13. See, it's very similar. I think we get some of the young guys, Mike Matthews in the game. Get some of those guys going. Peyton Lewis should be a big game for him.
Yeah, no, I'm going about the same now. I'm going about 45-10, somewhere around there. I think we probably get out to a nice, sizable lead at halftime, like 35-0, able to pull those guys out. And you're going to see the young guys get in, get some time. They're not going to score as effectively, and obviously stop them. They'll get some late points there. But it's going to be a win, a good win, sizable. So
Dylan Sampson is within striking distance of the single-season rushing record at Tennessee. He's got another, whether it's a bowl game or playoff games ahead, he's going to get that record, you would think. How much do you use him today, very quickly? Do you use him at all?
I wouldn't.
Part of me wouldn't use him at all, but being sensitive to him getting the record, I let him get a little taste, but he's not getting more than 10 carries.
He got about 12 carries, 13 carries against Chattanooga and Kent State. I'd like to keep it 10 or 11. Somewhere there. Okay, very good. Ollie Lane, Kevin Simon, thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks to the folks here at Rusty Wallace Kia on Callahan Drive. They've had us here all year. Next week, we're going to be in studio because it's Thanksgiving week. So we thank them for an entire season of having us here for the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. We also thank you for being with us all year. We thank all of our sponsors. And we want to remind you that tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we'll be breaking down the UTEP game and doing a lot of playoff preview and Vanderbilt preview on the Sports Source. That's 11 a.m. on WAT6 right here. See you then. Thank you very much.